You're leaving? I've got some popcorn. That's about it. That's all I saw. I ain't got money for anything. Some cup of tea. I'm peckish. Yeah, I had my dinner a wee while ago. Had a whole load of bacon. I'm not hungry. I could probably eat, like, unhealthy, like chocolates or something, but yeah. So I was going to play this Satan's Mistress one, which was on the double bill. You're not leaving. I was tempted to try a few other movies though, but the way the stream's been, I don't know if I should. But like, we tried Night of the Living Dead before, and it came up with a warning. As I say, this Horror Express, I could see that getting a warning coming up. And we back. And this the Satan's Mistress one should be okay, I would think. And they've got this other one, Funeral Home. Looked alright as well. The Night Strangler. Brides of Dracula, Grave of the Vampire. So, I've got a few I can try. You think we should do it? Should we try Night of the Living Dead and see what happens? It's weird because normally they don't take the stream down. Normally it says copyright warning kind of thing, and then you can stop it and play something else. But that one was like, said it was violation. Policy violations, that's what it said. And I don't know, the first one, as far as I made do it was because it was someone else's content, so I don't know what's going on, but just assume that because it was someone else's content. But yeah, it's weird trying to figure it out sometimes. Is that Sil? No way, lol. Shall we watch a couple of adverts again?
Of nourishment, full of goodness.
Nourishment.
Buttercup knows.
She loves it. Hope you guys see it. She loves it, but
Big and beautiful ladies' fashions where top styles start at size 16. All leading brands are stocked at realistic prices. Call into Big and Beautiful, 23 Duckworth Street, Darwin, opposite ICI.
Yeah, my dinner was like loads of bacon, a couple of vegetarian sausages, like corn things, half a slice is like fried bread. You put the bread in at the end to sort of fry up, so there was like onions and an egg. And I put all the bacon on a roll with tomato sauce. Sil had cauliflower, cheese, bacon, onion, mushrooms. It was very nice. I have leftovers, Crabby. I'm thinking of eating some. Lancashire. I'm biased, lol. I wish I had some ice cream, to be honest. Like, I think there's chocolate I can eat, but yeah, could do with some ice cream or fizzy juice.
Wanting a new look or just advice? Why not call Narcissus Hair Studio, Barnton Street, Stirling. A friendly salon for everyone at prices we can all afford. We specialise in hair up and wedding services with a free consultation for every appointment made. Narcissus is more than a hair salon.
Narcissus.
Be it colours, perms, nail extensions or even ear piercing.
Narcissus.
Why not give us a ring on
Narcissus.
475 658.
Narcissus. Sis.
Welcome to Sinbad, the latest tandoori in Great Yarmouth. Come and experience the
Yarmouth.
atmosphere and the chef's 20 years
Ex-Swagger
of culinary
came by.
expertise. Sinbad Tandoori Restaurant, 29 St Peter's Road, Great Yarmouth.
Great Yarmouth. I've been to Great Yarmouth when I was little, Sil. Didn't go to Sinbad, so. I had Zatarian's blackened chicken Alfredo out of a bag. Hiya, Swaggart. Cheers, Sil. Ceterian's blackened chicken Alfredo.
Welcome to the Viceroy Balti House.
Viceroy.
Proud new owners Tariq and Tez invite you and your family to enjoy the unique taste of Balti-style cooking. Watch your meal being cooked by highly experienced chefs using only fresh ingredients. Have your favorite dish, meat or vegetarian, cooked Balti-style. You'll love it. Our service is second to none. Home delivery and takeaway available.
You love it.
Try us now. The Viceroy Balti House, Marketplace, Uttoxeter.
New Toxica. New Toxica. Love it. Yeah, I want to try this Night Living Dead. Honestly, I think it'll come up with a warning, but these are making me right. I know it's all like food adverts still. So we'll see what the next one is. Shh. Toxic. Is that a play? Toxic heat. Bump. Toxeter. Looks up Yarmouth on a map. These adverts are so cheesy, like. Hey, Crabby, it's a seaside town. Yeah, it's in England. This is I like cigarette adverts. B&H. Is that Spike Milligan? Cigarettes. They're great. Brian's favourite place, England. Was that Spike Milligan in that advert? It looked advert was off of Peter Sellers, Sellers-ish, even though he wasn't in it. You're fibbing, Sil. So oysters are on menus, eh? Says these are for the 1960s, like. Looked a bit like Spike Milligan, eh? Cigarettes. They're great. Promise me, son, promise you me you'll never smoke. Promise me you'll never smoke
You
like
know
me.
Bristow's Star Spray. Now meet Bristow's Star Spray in a new firm hold strength. Normal hold, firm hold.
It always
Both
has that
have
snobby voice, man.
and they brush away easily at the end of the day, leaving your hair silky and soft.
A cuddly tie.
Bristow's Star Spray. Normal.
A his and
new
hers
firm
breakfast
hold.
tray.
Buy now. You'll save 1 and 6.
A tea caddy.
Don't drown your hair in a hard drying spray.
I've had enough of the adverts. We'll try the Night Living Dead, we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't just take the stream down kind of thing. I can't see it letting us play that though.
They ought to make the day the time changes, the first day of summer.
What?
Well, it's 8 o'clock and it's still light.
A lot of good the extra daylight does us. Now, we've still got a 3-hour drive back. We're not going to be home until after midnight.
Well, if it really bugged you, Johnny, you wouldn't do it.
You think I want to blow Sunday on a scene like this? You know, I figure we're either going to have to move Mother out here or move the grave into Pittsburgh.
She can't make a trip like this.
Oh, you know that she can't. Is there any of that candy left?
No.
Look at this thing. We still remember. I don't. You know, I don't even remember what the man looks like.
Johnny, it takes you 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes to put the wreath on the grave and 6 hours to drive back and forth. Mother wants to remember, so we trot 200 miles into the country and she stays at home.
Well, we're here, John, all right?
Test. We're back on? Oh. Ladies and
Hey,
gentlemen, we're coming back on the air after an interruption due to technical problem.
There's nothing wrong with the radio. Must have been the station.
Which row is it in?
Well, there's no one around.
Well, it's late. If you'd gotten up earlier.
Oh, look, I already lost an hour's sleep on the time change.
I think you complain just to hear yourself talk. There it is.
I wonder what happened to the one from last year. Each year we spend good money on these things. We come out here and the one from last year's gone.
Well, the flowers die, and the caretaker or somebody takes them away.
Yeah, a little spit and polish. You can clean this up. Sell it next year. Wonder how many times we bought the same one. Hey, come on, Barb. Church was this morning, huh? Hey, I mean, praying's for church, huh? Come on.
I haven't seen you in church lately.
Well, there's not much sense in my going to church. Do you remember one time when we were small, we were out here? It was from right over there. I jumped out at you from behind the tree, and Grandpa got all excited, and he shook his fist at me, and he said, "Boy, you'll be damned to hell." Remember that? Right over there. Well, you used to really be scared here.
Johnny,
You're still afraid.
stop it now. I mean it.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Stop it. You're ignorant.
They're coming for you, Barbara.
Stop it. You're acting like a child.
They're coming for you. Look, there comes one of them now.
He'll hear you.
Here he comes now. I'm getting out of here.
Johnny. Mom! No! No! Johnny! Help
All right. Don't worry about him. I can handle him. Probably be a lot more of them as soon as they find out about us. The truck is out of gas. This pump out here is locked. Is there a key? We can try to get out of here if we can get some gas. Is there a key? I suppose you've tried this. Do you live here? Jesus. We've got to get out of here. We have to get to where there's some other people. Maybe we better take some food. I'll see if I can find some food.
What's happening?
What do you think is happening?
What's happening?
Two of them. There are two of them out there. Have you seen any more around here? I can take care of those two.
I don't
I know you're afraid, but we have to...
I don't know! I don't know! What's happening?
I know we're in here now.
Don't look at it.
Get some more lights on in this house. Why don't you see if you can find some wood, some boards, something there by the fireplace, something we can nail this place up. Oh, God damn. Look, I know you're afraid. I'm afraid too. But we have to try to board the house up together. Now, I'm going to board up the windows and the doors. Do you understand? We'll be all right here. We'll be all right here until someone comes to rescue us. But we'll have to work together. You'll have to help me. Now, I want you to go in and get some wood so I can board the place up. Do you understand? Okay? Okay? Not that strong. Here, I want you to pick out some nails. Pick out the biggest ones you can find. There, this room looks pretty secure. If we have to, we can run in here and board up the doors. Won't be long before those things be back pounding their way in here. They're afraid now. They're afraid of fire. I found that out. You know a place back down the road called Beekman's? Beekman's Diner? Anyhow, that's where I found that truck I have out there. There's a radio in the truck. I had jumped in to listen to it when a big gasoline truck came screaming right across the road with there must have been 10, 15 of those things chasing after it, grabbing and holding on. Now, I didn't see them at first. I could just see that the truck was moving in a funny way. And those things were catching up to it. The truck went right across the road. Slammed on my brakes to keep from hitting it myself. It went right through the guardrail. I guess the driver must have cut off the road into that gas station by Beekman's Diner. It went right through the billboard, ripped over a gas pump, and never stopped moving. By now, it was like a moving bonfire. Didn't know if the truck was going to explode or what. Could still hear the man screaming. This thing is just backing away from it. I looked back at the diner to see if there was anyone there who could help me. It was when I noticed that the entire place had been encircled. There wasn't a sign of life left except by now there were no more screams. I realized that I was alone with 50 or 60 of those things, just standing there, staring at me. I started to drive. I just plowed right through them. They didn't move, they didn't run or just stood there, staring at me. Just wanted to crush them. They scattered through the air like bugs.
We were riding in the cemetery, Johnny and me. Johnny. We came to put a wreath on my father's grave. Johnny, and he said, "Can I have some candy, Barbara?" We didn't have any. And, oh, it's hot in here. Hot. And he said, "Oh, it's late. Why did we start so late?" And I said, "Johnny, if you'd gotten up earlier, we wouldn't be late." Johnny asked me if I were afraid. And I said, "I'm not afraid, Johnny." And then this man started walking up the road. He came slowly And Johnny kept teasing me and saying, "He's coming to get you, Barbara." And I laughed at him and said, "Johnny, stop it." And then Johnny ran away. And I went up to this man, and I was going to apologize.
Why don't you just keep calm?
And I looked up, and I said, "Goody." And he grabbed me. He grabbed me, and he ripped at me. He held me, and he ripped at my clothes.
I think you should just calm down.
Oh, I screamed, "Johnny! Johnny, help me! Oh, help me!" And he wouldn't let me go. He ripped. And then Johnny came, and he ran, and he fought this man. And I got so afraid. I ran. And Johnny didn't come. We have to wait for Johnny. Maybe we better go out and get him. We have to go out and get Johnny. He's out there. Please, don't you hear me? We've got to go out and get him. Please! We have got to go get Johnny! Please help me! Please!
Don't you know what's going on out there? This is no Sunday school picnic.
Don't you understand? My brother is alone!
Your brother is dead.
No! My brother is not dead! Oh. Oh.
Because of the obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens, and because of the crisis which is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night. This station and hundreds of other radio and TV stations throughout this part of the country are pooling their resources through an emergency network hookup to keep you informed of all developments. At this hour, we repeat, these are the facts as we know them. There is an epidemic of mass murder being committed by a virtual army of unidentified assassins. The murders are taking place in villages, cities, rural homes, and suburbs with no apparent pattern or reason for the slayings. It seems to be a sudden, general explosion of mass homicide. We have some descriptions of the assassins. Eyewitnesses say they are ordinary-looking people. Some say they appear to be in a kind of trance. Others describe them as being So, at this point, there is no really authentic way for us to say who or what to look for and guard yourself against. Misshapen monsters. Reaction of law enforcement officials is one of complete bewilderment at this hour. So far, we have been unable to determine that any kind of organized investigation is yet underway. Police, sheriff's deputies, and emergency ambulances are literally deluged with calls for help, and the scene can best be described as mayhem. Mayors of Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and Miami, along with the governors of several eastern and midwestern states, have indicated the National Guard may be mobilized at any moment, but that has not happened as yet. The only advice our reporters have been able to get from official sources is for private citizens to stay in their homes behind locked doors. Do not venture outside for any reason until the nature of this crisis has been determined and until we can advise what course of action to take. Keep listening to radio and TV for any special instructions as this crisis develops further. Thousands of office and factory workers are being urged to stay at their places of employment, not to make any attempt to get to their homes. However, in spite of this urging and warning, streets and highways are packed with frantic people trying to reach their families or apparently to flee just anywhere. We repeat, the safest action at this time is simply to stay where you Ladies and gentlemen, we've just received word that the President has called a meeting of his cabinet to deal with the sudden epidemic of murder which has seized the eastern third of this nation. The meeting is scheduled to convene within the hour. Members of the presidential cabinet will be joined by officials of the FBI and the Joint Chiefs behind closed doors. A White House spokesman, in announcing this conference, says there will be an official announcement as soon as possible following that meeting. This is the latest dispatch just received in our newsroom. Latest word also from National Press Services in Washington, D.C. now tells us that the emergency presidential conference, which we've just mentioned, will include high-ranking scientists from the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. That's the extent of this latest bulletin. Repeating, members of his cabinet, the FBI, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and scientists from NASA within the hour. All radio and TV stations throughout this part of the country, including the one to which you're listening, have joined their facilities in an emergency network to bring you this news as it develops. We urge you to stay tuned to radio and TV and to stay indoors at all costs. Late reports reaching this newsroom tell of frightened people seeking refuge in churches, schools, and government buildings, demanding shelter and protection from the wholesale murder which apparently is engulfing much of the nation. Law enforcement officials are at a loss to explain or, even at this hour, even to theorize about the reasons for this wave of murder. So far, the advice we are able to give the public is summary reports of Police Chief T.K. Dunmore of Camden, North Carolina, who's quoted as saying, quote, "Tell the people for God's sake to get off the streets. Tell them to go home and lock their doors and windows up tight. We don't know what kind of murder-happy characters we have here." End quote. Police Chief Dunmore of Camden, North Carolina. So far, the only descriptions, the only clues anyone has of the killers come from frightened witnesses of some of the slayings. These eyewitness accounts variously describe the murderers as ordinary-looking people, misshapen monsters, people who look like they're in a trance, and things that look like people but act like animals. Some eyewitnesses tell of seeing victims who look as though they had been torn apart. This whole ghastly story began developing 2 days ago with the report of the slaying of a family of 7 in their rural home near Gulfport, Louisiana. Since then, reports of such senseless killings began snowballing in a reign of terror which has hopscotched in an erratic, disconnected manner throughout much of the eastern and midwestern United States. Efforts to keep track of the murder reports by the placing of markers on a map seem to indicate a general spreading of the extreme southeastern United States from north and west. Our newsmen have been on the telephone talking with officials in other cities and have determined that none of this kind of mass murder has yet been reported west of the Mississippi River, except in the extreme southeastern portion of Texas. Similar killings have been reported around the Houston and Galveston areas, but nothing like...
I found a gun and some bullets out there.
It was only late yesterday
Oh, and
that it
these.
first became clear we were facing some kind of national emergency. When first reports began filtering in, newsmen and law enforcement agencies were of the opinion
This
that
place is
killings
boarded
were
up pretty solid now.
in nature. However, as these
We ought to be all right here
reports
for a while.
increased dramatically, it was soon apparent that
We have
this
the
was
gun
something
and
more than the
bullets,
usual run of lawlessness.
food and the
Some
radio.
officials began to suspect an obscure kind of conspiracy.
Sooner or later, someone's
Things as
bound to come and get us out.
creatures from outer space. So again, we join with law enforcement agencies in urging you to seek shelter in a building. Lock the doors and windows securely.
Hey, that's us. We're doing all right.
Be cautious of any suspicious strangers. And keep tuned to your radio and television for survival instructions and further details of this continuing story.
Look, I don't know if you're hearing me,
Goes on in the absence of any law.
but I'm going upstairs now.
It's almost as though some critical balance of
If anything should try to break in here, I can hear it from up there. I'll be down to take care of it.
savage killers. We repeat, this radio station.
Everything is all right for now. I'll be back to reinforce the windows and doors later. But you'll be all right for now, okay? Okay.
Civil defense officials in Cumberland have told newsmen that murder victims show evidence of having been partially devoured by their murderers. Consistent reports from witnesses to the effect that people who acted as though they were in a kind of trance were killing and eating their victims prompted authorities to examine the bodies of some of the victims. Medical authorities in Cumberland have concluded that in all cases, the killers are eating the flesh of the people they murdered. Repeating this latest bulletin just received moments ago from Cumberland, Maryland, civil defense authorities have told newsmen that murder victims show evidence of having been partially devoured by their murderers. Medical examination of victims' bodies shows conclusively that the killers are eating the flesh of the people they kill. And so this incredible story becomes more ghastly with each report. It's difficult to imagine such a thing actually happening, but these are the reports we have been receiving and passing on to you, reports which have been verified as completely as is possible in this confused situation. It is happening, and it would appear that no one is safe from this wave of mass murder.
Don't shoot. We're from town.
A radio. County, Pennsylvania. The Butler County Sheriff has verified that reports of murder victims being partially eaten by their slayers is true. No further details available at this time. However,
How long you guys been down there? I could use some help up here.
That's the cellar. It's the safest place.
You mean you didn't hear the racket we were making up here?
How were we supposed to know what was going on? Could have been those things for all we knew.
That girl was screaming. Sure, you must know what a girl screaming sounds like. Those things don't make any noise. Anybody would know somebody ever needed help.
Look, it's kind of hard to hear what's going on from down there.
We thought we could hear screams, but for all we knew, that could have meant those things were in the house afterward.
And you wouldn't come up and help?
Well, if there were more...
The racket sounded like the place was being ripped apart. How were we supposed to know what was going on?
Now, wait a minute. You just got finished saying you couldn't hear from down there. Now you say it sounded like the place was being ripped apart. It would be nice if you get your story straight, man.
All right, now you tell me. I'm not going to take that kind of a chance when we got a safe place. We luck into a safe place, and you're telling us we got to risk our lives just because somebody might need help, huh?
Yeah, something like that.
All right, why don't we settle this?
Look, mister, we came up. Okay, we're here. Now I suggest we all go back downstairs before any of those things find out we're in here.
They can't get in here.
You got the whole place boarded up?
Yeah, most of it. All but a few spots upstairs. They won't be hard to fix.
You're insane. The cellar's the safest place.
I'm telling you, they can't get in here.
And I'm telling you, those things turned over our car. We were damn lucky to get away at all. Now you tell me those things can't get through this lousy pile of wood?
His wife and kids downstairs. The kid's hurt.
Well, I still think we're better off up here.
We could strengthen everything up, Mr. Cooper.
With all of us working, we could fix this place up in no time. We have everything we need up here.
We can take all that stuff downstairs with us. Man, you're really crazy, you know that? You got 1,000,000 windows up here. All these windows, you're gonna make them strong enough to keep these things out, huh?
I told you those things don't have any strength. I smashed 3 of them and pushed another one out the door.
Did you hear me when I told you they turned over our car?
Oh, hell, any good 5 men can do that.
That's my point. Only there's not going to be 5 or even 10. There's going to be 20, 30, maybe 100 of those things. And as soon as they know we're here, this place is going to be crawling with them.
Well, if there are that many, they'll probably get us wherever we are.
Look, the cellar. The cellar, there's only one door, right? Just one door, that's all we have to protect. Tom and I fixed it so it locks and boards from the inside. But up here, all these windows, why, we'd never know where they were going to hit us next.
You got a point, Mr. Cooper. But down in the cellar, there's no place to run to. I mean, if they did get in, there'd be no back exit. We'd be done for. We can get out of here if we have to. And we got windows to see what's going on outside. But down there with no windows, if a rescue party did come, we wouldn't even know it.
But the cellar is the strongest place.
The cellar is a death trap.
I don't know, Mr. Cooper. I think he's right. You know how many's out there?
I don't know. Maybe 6 or 7.
Look, you two can do whatever you like. I'm going back down to the cellar, and you better decide. Because I'm going to board up that door, and I'm not going to unlock it again no matter what happens.
Now, wait a minute, Mr. Cooper.
No, I'm not going to wait. I've made my decision, now you make yours.
Now, wait a minute. Let's think about this. We can make it to the cellar if we have to. And if we do decide to stay down there, we'll need some things from up here. So let's at least consider this a while.
If you box yourself in this cellar and those things get in the house, you've had it. At least up here you have a fighting chance.
Yeah, it looks like about 8 or 10 out there now.
There's more than there were. There are a lot out back, too.
It's all right.
We gotta fix these boards.
You're crazy. Those things are going to be at every window and door in this place. We've got to get down into the cellar.
Go down in your damn cellar. Get out of here!
I'm taking the girl with me.
You leave her here. Keep your hands off her. And everything else that's up here, too. Because if I stay up here, I'm fighting for everything up here. And the radio and the food is part of what I'm fighting for. Now, if you're going down the cellar, get.
The man's insane. He's insane. We've got to have food down there. We've got a right.
This is your house.
We've got a right.
You going down there with him?
Well,
yes or no? This is your last chance. No beating around the bush.
Listen, I got a kid down there. She can't possibly. I couldn't bring her up here. She can't possibly take all the racket and those things smashing through the windows.
Well, you're her father. If you're stupid enough to go die in that trap, that's your business. However, I am not stupid enough to follow you. It is tough for the kid that her old man is so stupid. Now, you get the hell down in the cellar. You can be the boss down there. I'm boss up here.
You bastards. You know, I won't open this door again. I mean it.
Mr. Cooper, with your help, we could...
With my help.
Let him go, man. His mind is made up. Just let him go.
Wait a minute. Judy, come on up here, honey.
You're gonna let them get hurt too, huh?
It's all right, honey. Go ahead. If we stick together, man, we can fix it up real good. There's lots of places we can run to up here. Mr. Cooper, we'd all be a lot better off if all three of us were working together.
Hey. Hey, kid. He's wrong, you know. I'm not boxing myself in down there.
This radio station will remain on the air day and night.
Well, we're safe now. It's boarded up tight.
What about Tom and Judy?
They want to stay up there, let them. There are two other people upstairs, a man and a girl.
We heard you screaming.
Yeah, but I didn't know who they were, and I wasn't about to take any unnecessary chances.
Of course not, Harry.
Is she all right?
I don't know what it is. She feels warm. Maybe it's shock.
Where'd you get the bandage?
Some laundry in a basket. I tore a sheet.
Let them stay upstairs. Let them. Too many ways those monsters can get in up there. We'll see who's right. We'll see when they come begging me to let them in down here.
That's important, isn't it?
What?
To be right, everybody else to be wrong.
What do you mean by that?
Does anyone up there know why we're being attacked?
Whatever it isn't just happening here. It's some kind of mass murder. It's going on everywhere. The radio said to stay inside.
Radio?
Radio upstairs. I heard a news bulletin.
There's a radio upstairs and you boarded us in down here?
I know what I'm doing.
What did it say?
Nothing. Nothing. They don't know anything yet. There's mass murder everywhere, and people are supposed to look for a safe place to hide.
Take the boards off that door.
We are staying down here, Helen.
Harry, that radio is at least some kind of communication. If the authorities know what's happening, well, they'll send people for us so they'll tell us what to do. How are we going to know what's going on if we lock ourselves in this dungeon? We may not enjoy living together, but dying together isn't going to solve anything. Those people aren't our enemies.
Mr. Cooper! Mr. Cooper, Ben found a television set upstairs.
Let's go up. Tom?
Yeah.
If Judy would come downstairs for a few minutes, Harry and I could come upstairs.
Okay, yeah, right away.
Will you do it?
Do I have to?
Look, honey, nothing's gonna get done with them down there and us up here. Do this for me.
Okay.
Okay, open up.
I'll take good care of her, Helen.
She's all I have.
Why don't you go upstairs now?
Her brother was killed.
Hey, give me a hand with this thing.
I gotta go help Ben with the television.
Don't be afraid of me. I'm Helen Cooper, Harry's wife.
This place is ridiculous. Look at this. There's a million weak spots up here. Give me one of those.
Her brother was killed.
And they talk about these windows. I can't see a damn thing. There could be 50 million of those things out there. That's how much good these windows are.
Why don't you do something to help somebody?
Here I have it. Drag a couple of those chairs together.
There's a socket over here. You better watch this and try to understand what's going on. I don't want anyone's life on my hands.
Is there anything I can do to help?
I don't want to hear any more from you, mister. If you stay up here, you take orders from me. And that includes leaving the girl alone.
It's on, it's on.
There's no sound. Play with the rabbit ears.
Reports, incredible as they seem, are not the results of mass hysteria.
Mass hysteria. What do they think? We're imagining all this?
Shut up! In all parts of the country. The wave of murder which is sweeping the eastern third of the nation is being committed by creatures who feast upon the flesh of their victims. First eyewitness accounts of this grisly development came from people who were understandably frightened and almost incoherent. Officials and newsmen at first discounted those eyewitness descriptions as being beyond belief. However, the reports persisted. And medical examinations of some of the victims bore out the fact that they had been partially devoured. I think we have some late word just arriving, and I'll interrupt to bring this to you. This is the latest disclosure in a report from National Civil Defense Headquarters in Washington. It has been established that persons who have recently died have been returning to life and committing acts of murder. A widespread investigation of reports from funeral homes, morgues, and hospitals has concluded that the unburied dead are coming back to life and seeking human victims. It's hard for us here to believe what we're reporting to you, but it does seem to be a fact. When this emergency first began, radio and television was advising people to stay inside, behind locked doors for safety. Well, that situation has now changed, and we're able to report a definite course of action for you. Civil defense machinery has been organized to provide rescue stations with food, shelter, medical treatment, and protection by armed National Guardsmen. Stay tuned to the broadcasting stations in your local area for this list of rescue stations. This list will be repeated throughout our news coverage. Look for the name of the rescue station nearest you and make your way to that location as soon as possible.
So we have that truck. If we can get some gas, we can get out of here.
There's a pump out by the shed.
I know, that's why I pulled in here, but it's locked.
Called this afternoon by the president. Since convening this conference of the presidential cabinet, the FBI, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the CIA has not produced any public information. Why are space experts being consulted about an earthbound emergency? So far, all the betting on the answer to that question centers on the recent Explorer satellite shot to Venus. That satellite, you'll recall, started back to Earth, but never got here. That's the space vehicle which orbited Venus and then was purposely destroyed by NASA when scientists discovered it was carrying a mysterious high-level radiation with it. Could that radiation be somehow responsible for the wholesale murders we're now suffering? Newsman Don Quinn in Washington has posed those questions.
It's obvious our best move is to try to get out of here.
How are you going to get over to that pump?
Look!
You're coming from a meeting regarding the explosion of the Venus probe, is that right?
Yes, that was the subject of the meeting.
You feel there is a connection between this and the phenomenon?
There's a definite connection. A definite connection.
In other words, you feel that the radiation on the Venus probe is enough to cause these mutations?
There was a very high degree of radiation.
Well, just a minute. I'm not sure that that's certain at all. I don't think that has been
logical
irrefutably
explanation
proved.
that we have at this time.
In other words, it is the military's viewpoint that the radiation is not the cause of the mutation.
I can't speak for the entire military at this time, gentlemen.
This seems to
I
be...
must disagree with these gentlemen presently until this is irrefutably proved.
everything is being done that can be done.
We'll have to hurry for our next meeting.
Professor, you feel that there is a definite connection between
Definite connection as far as Dr. Keller and myself.
Doctor, please. I thought we decided that is not proved yet.
Was the satellite, when the satellite was exploded?
Unusual amount of radiation, enough to cause mutation under certain circumstances.
Could have happened.
Have a bearing on it.
It does seem to have a bearing.
Will there be a reply for the
Later?
Yes.
There will be a reply.
Yes.
Later this afternoon. There will be a report this afternoon.
Perhaps there will be a report.
Yes.
A
Later.
full report. Will you close the window?
We are doing everything possible to solve the problem.
We're hoping to get some further explanation of this.
We've heard all we need to know. We have to try to get out of here.
He said the rescue stations have doctors and medical supplies. If we could get care in there, we could get help for her.
Cosmo is one of the world's foremost authorities on space science and technology.
Willard. I saw a sign that said Willard.
It's only about 17 miles from here.
You know this area. You from around here?
Judy and I are both from around here. We were on our way up to the lake to go swimming, and Judy had a radio, and we heard the first reports about this. So we knew the old house was here, and we came in and found the lady upstairs dead. Then these other people came. We went down into the basement and put a bar across the door, and it is pretty strong.
How could we possibly get away from here? We've got a sick child, 2 women, 1 woman out of her head, 3 men, and the place is surrounded with these things.
For NASA. Dr. Grimes, your entire staff, I know, has been working very hard to find some solution to these things that are happening. Do you have any answers at this time?
Yes, we have some answers. But first, let me stress the importance of seeking medical attention for anyone who's been injured in any way. We don't know yet what complications might result from such injuries.
How bad has your kid been hurt?
Good advice, Doctor. Now, how about the basic complications?
Look, you go down there and tell... Now, Judy? Yeah, you tell Judy to come up here and you stay with the kid, all right?
Action taken with regard to the Venus probe. In the cold room at the university, we had a cadaver from which all 4 limbs had been amputated. Sometime early this morning, it opened its eyes and began to move its trunk. It was dead, but it opened its eyes and tried to move.
They want you upstairs. Did she ask for me?
She hasn't said anything.
I don't understand. Baby. It's Mommy. I heard.
I'll come back down as soon as I find out what they want.
Thank you, Judy.
The body should be disposed of at once, preferably by cremation.
Well, how long after death, then, does the body become reactivated?
It's only a matter of minutes.
Minutes? Well, that doesn't give people time to make any arrangements.
Oh, you're right. It doesn't give them time to make funeral arrangements. The bodies must be carried to the street and burned. They must be burned immediately. Soak them with gasoline and burn them. The bereaved will have to forego the dubious comforts that a funeral service will give. They're just dead flesh and dangerous.
I see.
Judy, I need you to find some bedspreads or sheets to tear up into small strips, okay? Is there a fruit cellar here?
Yes.
We need some bottles or jars to make Molotov cocktails and hold them off while we try to escape.
Hey, there's a big can of kerosene down there.
I'll see what I can find.
I'll look for the bottles.
There's a big key ring down there. There may be a key to the gas pump on it.
I'll check.
We can toss the cocktails from a window upstairs. Meantime, a couple of us can go out and try to get the gas and come back for the rest of the people.
But that'll leave a door open someplace.
Yeah, that's right. It better be this door. It's closer to the truck. Before we go out, we'll put some supplies behind the cellar door. While we're gone, the rest of you can hold up in there.
I found some fruit jars in the cellar. And there's a key on here that's labeled for the gas pump out back.
I'm not really that used to the truck. I found it abandoned.
I can handle the truck, no sweat.
You're it, then. You and I'll go. We'll put whatever lumber we find behind the cellar door. You can go upstairs and toss the cocktails from a window. Tom, you and I will have to unboard this door. After you toss the cocktails, you hustle back down here and lock this door. It's no good to board it up because we'll have to get back in quickly. After we get the gas and get back into the house, then we'll worry about getting everybody into the truck. Now let's move it.
Place to flee for safety, except to the different rescue stations which have been set up. Indications are that before this emergency is over, we will need many, many more such rescue stations.
You always have a smile for me. How can you smile like that all the time? How many do you have done? Come on, honey, we gotta move.
Tom, are you sure about the phone?
The phone is dead out. All you get is a recorded message.
If I could only call the folks. They're going to be so worried about us.
Everything will be all right. As soon as we get to Willard, we'll call them. They might even be there.
I know. Tom, are you sure we're doing the right thing, Tom?
What, about getting out of here?
Yeah.
Well, the television said that's the right thing to do. We've got to get to a rescue station.
I don't know.
Come on, honey, you're starting to sound like Mr. Cooper now.
But why do you have to go out there?
Look, I know how to handle that truck, and I can handle the pump. Ben doesn't know anything about that stuff.
But we're safe in here.
For how long, honey? We're safe now. But there's going to be more and more of those things.
I know all that.
Hey, listen. Remember when we had the big flood? Remember how difficult it was for us to convince you that it was right to leave? Remember we had to go to Willard then? This isn't a passing thing, honey. It's not like just a wind passing through. We've got to do something, and fast.
I just don't want you to go out there, that's all.
Hey, Smiley. Where's that big smile for me? Boy, you're sure no use at all, are you? We've got work to do, honey. And you...
We better get her downstairs.
We have to go downstairs now, Barbara.
She's right. You have to go downstairs now, just for a little while, until we get back. Then we can all leave.
Oh, I'd like to leave. Yes.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Get back in the cellar.
I'm going.
It's too late. It's too late.
Well, is it coming? Come on. Get in.
This key won't work.
Watch out. Watch the torch.
We gotta get away from the pump. Hang on.
Tom, you're crazy. Get out of the trap.
Let's get out of here. Come on, come on.
My jacket's gone.
Drag you out there and feed you those things.
Isn't it 3 o'clock yet? There's supposed to be another broadcast at 3 o'clock.
10 minutes.
Oh, only 10 more minutes? We don't have very long to wait. We can leave. Well, we better leave soon. It's 10 minutes to 3.
You know anything about this area at all? I mean, is Willard the nearest town?
I don't know. We were just trying to get to a motel before dark.
You say those things turned your car over. You think we can get it back on its wheels and drive it? Where is it?
Seems like it was pretty far away. Seems like we ran.
Forget it. It's at least a mile.
Johnny has the keys.
You gonna carry that child a mile through that army of things out there?
I can carry the kid. What's wrong with her? How'd she get hurt?
One of those things grabbed her.
Bit her on the arm.
What's wrong?
Who knows what kind of disease those things carry? Is she conscious?
Barely.
She can't walk. She's too weak.
Well, one of us could try to get to the car.
You gonna turn it over by yourself?
You can't start the car. Johnny has the keys.
You have a car? Where? Where is it?
You won't be able to start it.
Yeah, I know. But where is it?
Good Lord.
Being monitored closely by scientists at all the radiation detection stations. At this hour, they report the level of the mysterious radiation continues to increase steadily. So long as this situation remains, government spokesmen warn that dead bodies will continue to be transformed into the flesh-eating ghouls. All persons who die during this crisis, from whatever cause, will come back to life to seek human victims unless their bodies are first disposed of by cremation. Our news cameras have just returned from covering such a search and destroy operation against the ghouls, this one conducted by Sheriff Conan McClellan in Butler County, Pennsylvania. So now let's go to that film report. All law enforcement agencies and the military have been organized to search out and destroy the marauding ghouls. The Survival Command Center at the Pentagon has disclosed that a ghoul can be killed by a shot in the head or a heavy blow to the skull. Officials are quoted as explaining that since the brain of a ghoul has been activated by the radiation, the plan is kill the brain and you kill the ghoul.
Anything from the supply wagon, Cuss? No, we're all right. Hey, Cass, put that thing all the way in the fire. We don't want it getting up again. All right, I got you. Chief McClellan, how's everything going? Oh, things aren't going too bad. Men are taking it pretty good. You want to get on the other side of the road over there?
Chief, do you think we'll be able to defeat these things?
Well, we killed 19 of them today right in this area. Those last 3 we caught trying to claw their way into an abandoned shed. They must have thought somebody was in there. There wasn't, though. We heard them making all kind of noise. We came over and beat them off, blasted them down.
Chief, as soon as you're finished, can I see you here?
Yeah, okay.
Chief, if I were surrounded by 6 or 8 of these things, would I stand a chance with them?
Well, there's no problem. If you had a gun, shoot them in the head. That's a sure way to kill them. If you don't, get yourself a club or a torch. Beat them or burn them. They go up pretty easy.
Well, Chief McClellan, how long do you think it will take you until you get the situation under control?
Well, that's pretty hard to say. We don't know how many of them there are. We know when we find them, we can kill them.
Are they slow-moving, Chief?
Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
Well, in time, would you say you ought to be able to wrap this up in 24 hours?
Well, we don't really know. We know we'll be into it most of the night, probably into the early morning. We're working our way toward Willard, and we'll team up with the National Guard over there, and then we'll be able to give a more definite view.
Thank you very much, Chief McClellan. This is Bill Cardill, WIC TV 11 News.
Thank you, Bill, for that report. Official spokesman declined to speculate just how long it may take to kill off all the flesh eaters, so long as the heavy rain...
Is the fuse box in the cellar?
I don't know. It isn't the fuse. The power lines are down. Helen, I have to get that gun.
Haven't you had enough?
Look, 2 people are dead already on account of that guy. Take a look out that window. Get...
Sal, you want to get about 4 or 5 men and a couple dogs? There's a house over here behind those trees. We want to go check it out. You stay here, Bill.
Yeah, Chief, we're going to stay with it till we meet up with the National Guard.
Where'd you get the coffee?
One of the volunteers. You're doing all the work. You take it.
Thank you. We should be wrapped up here about 3 or 4 more hours. We'll probably get into Willard then. I guess you can go over there and meet the National Guard. Nick, you and the rest of these men want to come with me?
Well, Bill, let's check in the office, see what's happening. All right, Steve. Tell them we're going to stay with it, and everything appears to be under control.
Down there by the barn. Some of these guys can follow the wagon down. I only need a few men to check out the house. Somebody had a cookout here, Vince.
Yeah, sure looks like it, Cop.
He's a dead one. Get up here. Nick, Tony, Steve, you want to get out in that field and build me a bonfire? You, drag that out of here and throw it on the fire.
Nothing down here.
All right, go ahead down and give him a hand. Let's go check out the house. Man.
There's something there. I heard a noise.
All right, Vince, hit him in the head, right between the eyes.
Good shot. Okay, he's dead. Let's go get him. That's another one for the fire.
Send the wagon through, come directly ahead. Over.
More torches. Keep those dogs back off of those things.
Move more quickly. Please. Let's go back there. Pass the way.
Hey, Randy, light these torches over here.
People in the back, way in the back.
This movie is a masterpiece in psychic imprinting. Look, is that a leg on the screen there at the bottom? And you see the fire. It's like a sock or something. This movie is a masterpiece in psychic. The blonde with the black man, he played on that. It does have a certain subliminal film feel. With good reason. Very brave casting, this man, and he was brilliant. Yeah, it was a good performance, like. Wonder if that's meant to be a leg at the end there, sticking out. Yeah, I always thought the bit at the end was like actually filmed, like they threw him on the fire, but I don't remember it being off pictures at the end, but I guess that's the way it was. And it's quite shocking the first time you watch it, like.
And they brush away easily at the end of the day.
Brush away.
Leaving your hair silky, leaving your hair silky.
Don't drown your hair in a hard, dry and soft. Use Bristow's Star Spray with Bristow's special lanolin.
Thank you, Brian.
High style? Dry hair's spoiled it.
Dry hair. Yes, 50s, early 60s was very high tension times.
Dry hair needs Bristow's lanolin shampoo.
Lanolin.
Bristow's special lanolin replaces the natural oils dry hair lacks. Makes it feel good.
Yes.
Look good. Silky smooth. And
it's quite shocking the first time you watch it. It's unexpected.
See the difference when you use Bristow's lanolin shampoo.
Lanolin shampoo. Hypnosis in between NLP programming. That was good that we got to watch that though. I remember playing it before and it came up with a message. It must have been specific to that channel, you know. That had it on their channel, so I tried to find a different one. Yeah, I'd forgotten most of the plot, to be honest. Yeah, I thought I'd remember it. And then when I seen the wee lassie, I thought, oh yeah, I remember the wee lassie was in it. I remember how she was like gnawing on one of her parents later on. So I'd kind of forgot about that until I was watching it. I couldn't remember which parent she was gnawing on. I'd completely forgotten the ending, did you? So, I don't know if we should watch another one. You know, I've got one that's called Voyage to the Planet of Prehistoric Women. Human gorilla. After you see it a few times, you can look at the props and get into the smallest details. Oh, well, that Wasp Woman one was no good. I think I'll just remove that for the list, like. Wasp Woman. I'm like that with some films, Cat. So yeah, I've still got Horror Express, Satan's Mistress, Funeral Home, The Night Strangler. There's an old black and white one called Maniac, although that had the guy's watermark thing on it or whatever, logo. Dominique is Dead. Peter Cushing, Brides of Dracula, Grave of the Vampire, one called Vampire, 1979. Been really nice hanging out with you, Cat. Voyage to the Planet of Prehistoric Women, The Stepford Wives, Creature for the Haunted Sea, The Devil's Gift, Human Gorilla, one called Julie Darling, The Fast and the Furious, which isn't necessarily horror, like more like crime, Mama Dracula, The Screaming Skull. I was trying to get a decent sort of version that didn't have the logo on it because it looks like an alright film. 1958. Christmas Evil, Silent Night, Bloody Night, Cursey Nostradamus. Wonder how Rob is doing. We miss you, Rob. I enjoy it too, Cat said. Yeah. Beast from Haunted Cave. I don't know, that might be quite rubbish, but Equinox, Nosferatu, Nessie the Loch Ness Monster, The Hearse, that was quite rubbish. Then it's just like quite old ones and a rubbish one. Might find other ones there. I mean, obviously there's plenty sort of public domain ones that aren't horror movies, you know. I mean, there might even be, you know, some of them that we've had have been sort of sci-fi, so maybe there's other ones, you know, sci-fi that we could watch. I don't know. I'll have to find some more after that, probably. Once these ones are done, I think it's safe to say the best ones, have been done from this list. Oh God, Children of the Corn scared me at the time. Yeah. Creepshow scared me at the time. And The Thing. And Nightmare on Elm Street. Seriously, a creepy movie that reminds me of a Rat Pack, Elon Musk crew. I think there's about 5 of them or something, the Children of the Corn ones. He Who Walks Behind the Rose. Is it Molokai or something? I worship He Who Walks Behind the Rose. Yeah, this one I've got here, Vincent Price's Dracula. It's more like a documentary. Maybe I could just play this. I don't know if it should let us play it. It's like 50 minutes. I don't like torture films. Yeah. I like low budget horror comedy. I don't even watch much of the old, the old Hammer ones and stuff like that. But I watched a thing earlier, and it was Tales of Terror, and it was a Roger Corman one, because at the end it said something like American artists or something, Cause some of them look kind of like Hammerish, but it's not. It's like Roger Corman. Stepford Wives was a book, I think. I read it once still. Stepford Wives incorporates the Disney Ottoman theme. Yeah, I assume that was after Stepford Kids. Oh wait, there was Village of the Damned and that, Children of the Damned or something was... I always got that mixed up with Stepford Kids a wee bit. Me either, I can't take mutilation or that stuff. Yeah, I can't either, but I don't like ones where it's like on an operating table as well. And they're doing an operation and they're like, look, there's like a heart pumping and stuff like that. I don't really like watching that when there's, it's alright if it's just like a wee bit of it, like here or there, but some of the movies these days, it's like most of the movies, like, there's one called Autopsy kind of thing, but most of the movies just operations going on and stuff, it's like I don't really like watching that. Stepford Wives, Stepford Kids. I only saw Children of the Corn, didn't know there were sequels. Yeah, I think there's at least 4 sequels, like Can't Take Mutilation. There are Stepford Kids, oh hell. I'm gonna look it up. Is it a real place, Stepford? I'm sure there's a Stepford Kids, like. Oh, the Stepford Children it's called. 1987, made for TV horror. Barbara Eden. A couple and their teenage children move to a town where local men have things eerily under control. T-movie, 1987. Stepford Wives was God knows, there's quite a few of them. Stepford Husbands. Revenge of the Stepford Wives. Stepford Wives. 1975. And then there's some remake, 2004. That was the film Children of the Damned. It's based on a town, like a certain town in Connecticut. I'm sure there was a film Stepford Kids, something like that. Training Future Serial Killer. Yes, Brian. That one is good. I've watched 1 or 2. For some reason I was thinking Kirstie Alley was in one, but I'm probably totally wrong. The one's 2004. Oh, I don't know. I must probably watch the original one. It says the 2004 one's the 2004 one's Nicole Kidman, Matthew Broderick, Bette Midler, Glenn Close, Christopher Walken. Yep. I've not seen that one. Yeah, I don't think I've watched that one. Something like that, getting out of the Big Apple and moving back to a iconic small town. Really Cat, Connecticut Hat, that one is good.
Welcome, my friend. Come in and make yourself comfortable by the fire. I'm embarrassed that my butler wasn't able to meet you at the gate. I'm afraid we'll be supping alone this evening. It's Brimstoke's night to howl. Please forgive the minor theatrics. I simply can't resist a good scare. Frankly, my friend, these affected atmospherics, as startling as they can be, grow rather pale in the light of the story I am about to reveal. You have asked for the truth about Dracula, the monster most feared, whose restless soul has haunted generations. I must warn you, however, the truth about Dracula, about Vlad the Impaler, the great undead, is not for the timid. Ah, but my manners. Apologies, dear friend. Something to relieve a parched throat, perhaps. White? Red? Good. Like the tightly locked door at the top of the darkened stairway in the classic horror movies, Dracula's legend stands before us, daring us to investigate. I, like you, have always been fascinated with Dracula. The curiosity that brings you here tonight led me to ask the same questions. Why has the Dracula legend intrigued us so many generations? Could it be his triumph over mortality? His hypnotic power over victims? The elegance of this gentleman killer? Or the sheer thrill of being scared to death? Well, perhaps all of these elements combined have made Dracula the most popular character in the history of horror, inspiring hundreds of writers and filmmakers. But I caution you to approach this evening with more respect than one would have for an ordinary fictional character. For there is more truth than fiction in the story of Vlad Dracula. Though a legend surrounds him, I assure you that such a man actually lived over 400 years ago in the mountains of Transylvania, a very real country in the heart of Europe. Here, in fact, in this town of Shigashiwara, the real Dracula, Vlad Dracula, began a legend that would endure the centuries. A brass plaque still announces the fact to passers-by. In this house, Vlad Dracula was born. And now the truth, my friend. Travel back with me to 15th century Transylvania. Those were turbulent times for Transylvania and for its neighboring region, Wallachia, which was ruled by Dracul, the father of Dracula. It was the height of the bloody and brutal holy wars, and the Islamic Turks had sworn to wipe out Christianity. This made the Turks mortal enemies of Vlad's people. For many of his teenage years, Vlad was held captive by the Turks. When his father was murdered by dissenters in his own country, young Vlad, less than 20 years old, escaped and joined troops on a crusade against his enemies. Within a few years, he had led several successful missions and was rewarded by his people with the same title his father had held, Crown Prince of Wallachia. Thus began a rise to power unlike any other in history. Vlad first decided to assert his newfound power within his own country. He issued proclamations from his long table with a clear message for the boyars: submit or die. Innocence was a question decided by only one man, Vlad Dracula. In one day, some 500 nobles were impaled on stakes in the hills surrounding the city. Few dared to stand up against him again. From then on, Dracula was known as Vlad Tepes, Vlad the Impaler. And within a very short time, Dracula was undeniably the leader of his people. Secure in his own region, Dracula now turned towards Transylvania with an army 20,000 strong. The warning sounds were sent out. Vlad Tepes is coming. Vlad the Impaler is on the attack. No one knew where or when he would strike, but the tales of his tortures preceded him. In a papal letter sent to the Vatican, his atrocities were described. He killed some by breaking them under the wheels of carts. Others, stripped of their clothes, were skinned alive. Others placed upon stakes or roasted on red-hot coals. Others punctured with stakes, piercing their heads, their breasts, their buttocks, and the middle of their entrails, with the stake emerging from their mouths. The Transylvanians tried to take refuge behind the secure walls of monasteries, but nothing could stop the bloodthirsty Vlad Dracula. It was during this time that this famous scene occurred, with Vlad dining at a table amongst the impaled bodies of his countless victims. By late 1461, Dracula, unquestionably in command of his homeland, decided to do battle with his old enemies, the Turks. In a series of surprise raids, and with the advanced stories of his treacherous ways spreading panic throughout the Turkish forces, Vlad secured victory after victory. Within an amazingly short period of time, he had achieved the impossible. Leaving a bloody trail of conquered Turkish villages behind them, Vlad and his troops reached the Black Sea. This was a highly symbolic accomplishment, and those who choose to remember only those victories still call Vlad Dracula a hero. But Dracula's success was short-lived. Taking the matter somewhat more seriously, the Turkish Sultan sent 200,000 troops into Transylvania. Against these odds, Dracula was forced to retreat towards Wallachia. He had no choice but to return to his castle, but Vlad wasn't alone. The Sultan sent a battery of troops after him, and Dracula's mighty castle was destroyed.
Dracula, however, escaped through a secret tunnel with a few friends and fled to Hungary. 12 years later, Vlad Dracula was finally killed by the Turks at this spot, Snagov. The Sultan ordered that Vlad's head be returned to him as proof of his demise. The monks at Snagov buried Dracula's headless body in their monastery. Some say he lives on. Truthfully, I am appalled at the treatment dealt him at the hands of today's Western culture. It must sadden him to be reduced to a mathematical puppet for preschoolers, a gaudy waxen caricature in cheap chambers of horrors. Why, his name has even been associated with a sugar-saturated breakfast cereal. This is an insult to Vlad the Impaler, hero to his people, and the very image of Satan to his enemies. The true, terrifying history of Dracula is found in no less a shrine than the British Museum. This in itself stands as a tribute to this master politician, statesman, warrior, and all-round benevolent dictator. Of course, every head of state has been prone to excess, and every head of state has his own peculiar tastes, whether for jelly beans, peanuts, or blood. 400 years after his death, Dracula found new life. It was Bram Stoker, an Irish novelist, who first introduced the Dracula legend to English literature. His research into the historical Vlad Dracula was painstaking, if you'll permit the pun. It was Stoker who changed Vlad from a bloodthirsty prince to a bloodthirsty vampire. Listen to Stoker's vivid description of a first meeting with the Count in his 1897 novel, Dracula. The driver suddenly turned down a narrow road, which turned sharply to the right. Soon we were hemmed in with trees, which in places arched right over the roadway, till we passed as though through a tunnel. Just then, the moon, sailing through the black clouds, appeared behind the jagged crest of a beetling, pine-clad rock. And by its light, I saw around us a ring of wolves with white teeth and lolling red tongues, with long, sinewy limbs and shaggy hair. All at once, the wolves began to howl. The horses jumped about and reared, and we kept on ascending. Suddenly, I was conscious of the fact that the driver was in the act of pulling up the horses in the courtyard of a vast, ruined castle, from whose tall black windows came no ray of light. What kind of a place had I come to? And among what kind of people? I heard a heavy step approaching behind the great door and saw through the chinks the gleam of a coming light. Then there was the sound of rattling chains and the clanking of massive bolts drawn back. A key was turned with the loud grating noise of long disuse, and the great door swung back. Within stood a tall old man, clad in black from head to foot, without a single speck of color about him anywhere. The old man motioned me in with his right hand with a courtly gesture, saying in excellent English, but with a strange intonation, "Welcome to my house. Enter freely and of your own will." He made no motion of stepping to meet me, but stood like a statue, as though his gesture of welcome had fixed him into stone. The instant, however, that I had stepped over the threshold, he moved impulsively forward. I said interrogatively, "Count Dracula?" He bowed in a courtly gesture as he replied, "I am Dracula. I bid you welcome. It is late and my people are not available. Let me see to your comfort myself." Well, from your expression, I can see that Dracula still isn't real to you. Well, can you begin to believe? Can you imagine, for instance, that Bram Stoker's Castle Dracula might have existed? Well, it did. To ensure the strength of his reign, once and for all, Dracula used Easter, the most sacred of Orthodox holidays, as a trap. He encouraged a festive gathering of nobles and peasants on Easter morning, and then surrounded and captured them all. The old and sick were impaled and placed like fence posts around the city, while the young, healthy citizens were taken, still in their Easter costumes, and forced to work on the construction of Castle Dracula. They were fed as little as possible and worked until the clothes fell off their backs. No one knows how many years the construction took. No one knows how many died. He had built a perfect retreat closer to Transylvania in a difficult spot to attack. Deep in the Carpathian Mountains, perched securely on a lofty crag, lies Castle Dracula. Today it stands in ruin, silent save for the moaning wind that echoes through its silhouetted majesty. One can only imagine the height of its battlements and the depth of its secrets. Oh yes, Castle Dracula was real, and to the Transylvanians, so were vampires. The ornate frescoes on these old Transylvanian church walls tell the story of vampirism. According to tradition, should a man change his religion from Eastern Orthodox to Roman Catholicism, as Vlad Dracula did, he was excommunicated and upon death became a vampire. These drawings are vivid in detail, depicting the restless souls of the undead rising out of their graves. So, the legend has some basis in fact. The potential of such rich drama was quickly discovered by a young, booming film industry, both in Europe and Hollywood. The Dracula legend found new life in 1922 with the release of a German film entitled Nosferatu. Now, director Friedrich Murnau unfortunately could not secure the necessary copyrights from Mr. Stoker, so he changed things slightly. Transylvania became the Baltic states, Count Dracula became Count Orlok, but essentially Nosferatu was the first of over 200 movies to contribute to Dracula lore. I have a copy of the film ready in the viewing room. Would you care to have a look at Dracula's first starring role? Oh, good. They just don't make them like this anymore. And it's a good thing, too. The actor is Max Schreck. His Count Orlok bears little resemblance to the elegant devils of later Hollywood and London versions. Though vampire stories had been translated to the screen as early as 1909, this film was an adaptation of Stoker's novel and is considered the first Dracula vampire movie. Even today, Nosferatu remains a masterpiece of horror. I just love a good romance. Kind of brings a lump to the throat, doesn't it? But the story gets better with every telling, as each element is added to the tale. The fangs, the black silk cape, the hypnotic eyes, even the myth that a vampire casts no reflection in a mirror. The vampire Dracula is a development of the ancient legends, and it's surprising how many similarities exist between the blood-sucking undead of Dracula's time and the modern fictionalized vampire of today. There are the common, well-known myths, of course. Should one wish to remain totally prepared in case of vampire attack, I have assembled a small vampire emergency kit. Oh, yes. Here is the first item, garlic. And pungent it is. The mere presence of this deliciously smelly herb will keep away the vampire, and for that matter, anyone else except a very dedicated apprentice chef. Now, the Transylvanians used to smear the fresh-cut cloves of garlic about their doorways and window sashes. The cross, of course, has always been the absolute power over vampires. Its shape has defended many a film star from the fangs of Dracula. And here is the traditional wooden stake. Though it may seem to be a movie cliche, the wooden stake has more than a literary association with vampires, as I will later explain. Now, here are two tiny little bandages, just the right size. Guess you know what they're for. Now, this is something you may not have seen. It is a small replica of a tawaka. The real thing is much bigger, of course, and when struck, the very sound of it scares off every vampire within hearing distance. Now, I'm no expert, of course, so perhaps a proper demonstration would be in order. In Romania, the sounding of the tawaka is a ritual performed by the priests several times each day. Now, should you not succeed in scaring off the vampire, you must certainly destroy it at the earliest opportunity. There are specific instructions as to how to accomplish this. They are given in Romanian, so please allow me to translate. We bury the vampires away outside the village, up in the mountains, by themselves, or at a crossroads far away from here. Nobody is safe from the vampire. So whenever strange things happen, you suspect right away that it's a vampire. The first thing to do is to go out and look at the graves in the cemetery. You look for freshly turned dirt or some other sign that a grave has been disturbed. You have to do this during the day. Vampires aren't dangerous during the day, only at night. That's when they come out to suck people's blood and make them sick and put a curse on people. So you go out to the cemetery in the daytime. If you see signs, you have to open up the grave and kill them. In some places, they kill a vampire by cutting off its head. The surest way to kill a vampire is by driving a stake through his heart. The stake has to be driven right through the vampire's body into the ground. But if you don't find him and kill him, he remains undead. Vampires are no quaint legend, nor is Dracula a theatrical character created through actors and special effects. No, he is terribly real. Certainly, Hollywood has contributed much to the Western image of the Count. Many great men have played Dracula on the stage and screen. Most of them were my friends, though I somehow never had the opportunity to play the King of Evil. Maybe it's just as well. There are many classic film portrayals which have mixed fact with fantasy to create the popular image of Count Dracula. Over the years, many vampire movies have featured female vampires, but none compares with the nightmarish Vampire, directed by Carl Dreyer in 1932. this artistically acclaimed film, Dreyer presents his vampire as an ugly, old, witch-like woman. The horror is further enhanced by Dreyer's imaginative use of the camera. Such techniques as shooting through gauze to create a dreamlike haze are still used by filmmakers to this day. This 1936 Dracula sequel, Mark of the Vampire, incorporated all the classic elements. The spooky castle, the cobwebs, the dim candlelight, the eerie music, the pretty young girl, and of course, the most famous of all the Hollywood Draculas, Bela Lugosi.
By day, the vampires must return to the ground in which they were buried, or else find shelter in some accursed retreat. It is then they are powerless.
Then we must leave at daybreak. It's our chance to get away from here.
What? And leave these monsters here to continue their work of destruction? It would be cowardice.
What else is there to do?
Search for them. Find their corpse-like bodies. It is in that state, and that state only, they can be destroyed. Their heads must be severed with one clean stroke and a sprig of bat-thorn placed within the gaping wound.
They would be crazy to attempt what you are planning. I'll never do it. Never. In the morning we're leaving.
I agree with you. Mark of the Vampire starred some very famous actors. Yes, that is Lionel Barrymore.
In 3 hours, it will be daylight. Thank heaven the house is well protected for the night.
Ah, the classic Dracula pose, but not the classic ending.
This vampire business has given me a great idea for a new act. Luna, this new act, I will be the vampire. Did you watch me? I gave all of me. I was greater than any real vampire.
Sure. But get off your makeup.
Yes, and help me with...
Who's getting a warning message there coming up? So, warning, heads up, we detected video in your stream belonging to someone else. That's a bit weird that it waits like half an hour to say that. Was always telling them off, lol. We on shop floor working and they playing football, lol. Yeah, I remember doing that at the DIY store, and it was like a rolled up ball of, like, cling film that they'd, thick cling film that they wrapped around pallets. I remember playing football with one of them, and because it was quite long aisles, in the DIY stores. So I remember the actual store manager coming along and telling us off. But like, he was quite cool about it, he wasn't like an asshole. He was just like, oh, stop that, boys. That's weird getting a warning message there, man. It's been playing it for half an hour. Could all book floor staff return to base. This is a staff announcement. And if I should keep playing that, I don't know why it does that. It lets us play it for half an hour, and then it actually says, we've detected video on your stream belonging to someone else. So apparently it belongs to this guy. I get how it's these people apparently on it when it's, public domain movie, you know. The little gits. Yeah. I'm going to just try and play it again. Maybe the message will come up again.
Some of this packing.
They have to shove this breaking job onto me.
As the film industry progressed, so did the vampire story. In this 1943 production, Return of the Vampire, Bela Lugosi played a vampire who had been buried in London and was brought back to life by a World War II air raid.
There's a blasted spike sticking out of his chest. You know, it ain't right for a man to be buried decent and proper like, and then go and get hurt by a blooming bomb splint. That spike's got to come out before we bury him again. Horace, pull it out yourself.
Chicken-hearted is what you are.
Oh. What's that? Come on, Horace. Let's bury him and get it over with.
With his lifelong servant, a werewolf named Andreas, Lugosi plotted his steps towards immortality.
Lady Jane Ainsley and Professor Walter Saunders imprisoned me, deprived me of life for the past 23 years. It was my curse.
Posing as an escaped German doctor, the vampire chose his victim carefully.
Lady Jane.
How will you do it, Master?
Through those she loves the most. Come, Andreas. I must find a new resting place. There you will bring the coffin with my native soil. And then, Andreas, I have other plans.
And, well, you can guess the rest.
I've seen sick men before. I know about men.
Perhaps the most unwilling vampire in film history was John Beale as Dr. Beecher in the 1957 movie simply entitled The Vampire.
You told me yourself these pills were from vampire bats.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's coming up with a message again. I don't know. I don't know why it lets us play it for half an hour. And then it comes up with a warning. So guess I'll just end this one then. I don't know if I can play the rest of it again. It's 50 minutes, only 20 minutes to go. Yeah, that's a bit weird. You think it'd just let us play it? It's 50 minutes long. After half an hour it comes up and says detected video belonging to someone else. So, but yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, Sil, and Kat, and anyone else who watched. It was good we got to play Night 11 Dead. But yeah, if I just keep playing this, it'll probably just come up with a message again. But that's a shame. Could have just watched the rest of that, and that would have been it. Yeah, so take care. Werewolf Andreas, yeah. He's werewolf chum. Werewolf Andreas. I don't know, I've seen Bela Lugosi's Dracula, obviously. And then, you know, the other ones like Werewolf, you know, with House of Dracula and the other universe. So I've not seen this one with his buddy, Werewolf Andrea. His helper. Had such fun working there, Brian. You would have fitted right in. Yeah. Oh well. Those days are gone. A long time ago when we was young. When we was young and we had choices and life ahead of us. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Werewolf Andrea. I'm going to look that up and research it. I thought I'd seen most of Lugosi's Dracula ones. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I've had a great time, thank you, all. Yeah. Like I said, probably run out of decent movies, and I think the other thing is, like, you know, they probably won't even all play the ones that are left. Let's see. It's probably about, I don't know, 30, you know, left to watch. But, you know, a few of them won't play. The black and white ones are usually okay. Night, Brian, thank you. Thank you, Sal. Have a nice night, have a nice weekend. I'll catch you later, cheers. Night. Don't have nightmares.